We now come to the presentation of our top 4 trophy awards for the year. Instead of it being just 4 this year, there will actually be 6 recipients as we had 2 different ties. You'll enjoy learning about how close the awards were this year when we come to those ties. So please hold your applause until the end of each presentation. We'll give you a chance to honor each of the winners then. The top award for firearm taken North American sheep is the Bouchard Summit Award. It's named after long-term GSCO director and Legend Award winner, the late Francis Bouchard. Francis was actually the first person ever to document and register 5 Grand Slams. Some people claim to have accomplished this feat, but no one before Francis had done so officially. Francis went on to take a 6th Grand Slam before he passed away in 2009. We're so pleased to be able to continue to honor Francis each year when we recognize the top firearm taken trophy. The 2013 winners are James Brogan and Michael J. Carpenito. We'd like to ask these men to begin making their way to the stage at this time. A representative from their outfitters, Double H Outfitters for Michael and Chase Hill Outfitters for James, are also welcome on stage for photos. We first go to Michael Carpenito and his astounding Desert Bighorn taken in Arizona with Double H Outfitters in October 2011. This amazing ram is listed as number 2 in the SCI record book with a score of 194 3/8, and it's also the 2nd largest ram ever taken in Arizona as well. Michael's trophy is truly one of the greatest North American sheep ever taken. We now move along to James Brogan. James is winning the Bouchard Summit Award for a Rocky Mountain Bighorn he took in Montana with Chase Hill Outfitters in October 2011. James drew this tag and took a ram that is currently ranked number 5 all time in the SCI record book. It's the largest bighorn taken in the past 11 years to be entered in the book. When you consider that there are some 600 bighorn entries in the SCI book and find that James has taken number 5, it should become clear why he's one of the recipients of this prestigious award. So please, give James Brogan and Michael Carpenito a big round of applause. The Frost Hoffman Summit Award is presented each year for the top archery taken North American trophy and got its name from the first 2 bow hunters to ever record a Grand Slam. Those hunters are Jack Frost and Tom Hoffman, and both of these legendary bow hunters are with us tonight to help present the award. Actually, they're going to get the pleasure of presenting 2 awards, as just in the rifle category, we had a tie for the Frost Hoffman Award this year. The 2013 winners are Dan Reynolds and Jim Hens. We'd like to ask these men to begin making their way to the stage at this time. Barry Tompkins of Jim's outfitter, Big 9 Outfitters, is scheduled to be with us tonight, and he's also welcome on stage for photos. Dustin Rowe also helped Jim and may also want to come to the stage as well. Dan Reynolds is well known as a long-term outfitter and guide in the Yukon. Over the past few years, Dan has begun to hunt extensively by bow and arrow. In August 2012, he arrowed a ram that scores 174 2/8 SCI, which ties for the number 1 archery taken Dall sheep in the SCI record book. That number 1 record has stood for 20 years, and both number 1s beat the next entry by well over 5 points. Dan's ram is truly one of the finest Dalls ever taken by bow and arrow. Our second 2013 recipient of the Frost Hoffman Summit Award is Jim Hens. In November 2011, Jim arrowed a new archery world record stone in British Columbia with Big 9 Outfitters. It scores 180 6/8 SCI and beats the previous number 1 by well over 3 inches. The former record had stood as number 1 since 1997. We're most pleased to have now shown you the greatest Dall and stone sheep ever taken by bow and arrow. Now let's give Dan Reynolds, Jim Hens, and Big 9 Outfitters a big round of applause. For 2012, the GSCO Trophy Awards Committee decided to begin international awards that would parallel the North American Summit Awards. It was not a difficult choice when a name for the International Capper Award was in consideration. No other hunter before him had ever put the emphasis on the wild goats of the world as did the late Donald Cox. He was the first ever recipient of the Ovis. That should let you know Donald had to have done a lot of mountain hunting. He received the Ovis not only for the number of sheep he'd taken, but for the tremendous number of Capra goats he had hunted as well. Donald was one of the greatest conservationists our industry has ever known. He was a kind, considerate, and extremely generous person. He may have been thin and wiry, but he was one heck of a mountain hunter. Now to only the second recipient of the Donald Cox International Capra Award. For 2013, we'd like to honor Troy Sheldon. As Troy and a representative from his outfitter, Northwest Ranching and Outfitting, make their way to the stage, we can tell you a little about the amazing trophy that has earned him this honor tonight. Troy hunted in British Columbia in October 2011 to get this astounding American mountain goat, scoring 35 7/8 SCI. This goat is the new all-time world record in the SCI book. Troy beat out the former #1 trophy that had stood for 20 years. And we'd also like to report there's been a final panel judging of Troy's goat by the Boone and Crockett record book. And it's also the new world record there. Truly, Troy Sheldon, Northwest Ranching and Outfitting, and this wonderful trophy are deserving of the Donald Cox International Capra Award. So, let's give them a big round of applause. Tonight we want to present our first ever International Sheep Award. The GSCO board voted unanimously that the name for this annual award would be the Galapchi International Sheep Award. Hussein Sudi Galapchi was the second recipient of the Ovis, and just like Donald Cox, it wasn't a difficult decision to name a trophy award for him. Sudi, if you're not already on the stage, please begin making your way up here. Sudi's climbed many of the world's mountains, and no other person has taken as many of the world's wild sheep. For many years, Sudi has gone to the top of the world in pursuit of the mighty Marco Polo of the Tajikistan premiers. He's the only person to ever take and record a wild mountain sheep with 70-inch horns. It was accomplished in 2008 when he took a Marco Polo with that type measurement. We can now report that in 2012, Sudi did it again and broke his own record with a Marco Polo with horn lengths of 73 and 72 inches. GSCO's archive proved that he stands alone as the most prolific wild sheep hunter of all time. We're pleased to have the new Galapchi International Sheep Award as our latest edition, and it's wonderful to have Sudi with us tonight to present this award for the very first time. This year's Galapchi International Sheep Award winner has traveled a great distance to be with us tonight. We invite Richard Sand and a representative from Shikar Safaris to begin making their way to the stage. Richard's come all the way from Denmark to be honored for his amazing Hungai Argali that you see on the screen. He hunted in Mongolia in July 2011 to get that ram. It has an SCI score of 247 1/8, placing it number 2 in the record book. This ram is only the second Hungai Argali to ever have a horn length over 60 inches. You should also be impressed looking at the heavy bases of this great trophy. Congratulations, Richard, on one of the greatest Argalis ever taken. We know it has a special place in the combined display of both your and your late father, Rudolph Sand's trophies. Between the two of you, there's some of the greatest trophies from all huntable continents. So let's give Richard and Shikar Safaris a big round of applause right now.